New images capturing the battle for Ukraine unfolding in the skies over Kyiv. The country's Air Force tonight with a spectacular claim that for the first time they've shot down a Russian hypersonic missile, which Vladimir Putin once called invincible, with an American-made Patriot missile system. The Russian hypersonic, known as the Kinzhal, can travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound and has a range of over 1,000 miles. Ukraine only recently deploying the Patriot, the most technologically advanced and costly air defense system in the world. Each Patriot missile almost $3 million. In the U.S. this week, sending an additional $300 million in military aid to Ukraine. This package including mortars and guided missiles from aircraft, and it brings the total amount of military aid to Ukraine so far in this war to about $36 billion.
The Ukrainian government has released this footage, which it says shows white phosphorus raining down on Bakhmut. The eastern city is the site of the longest and bloodiest battle since the Russian invasion began in February last year. White phosphorus ignites immediately on contact with oxygen, creating a bright plume of smoke. It's primarily used to conceal troop movements, but its use against civilian targets could constitute a war crime under the Geneva Convention. It can scar internal organs, cause severe burns, and kill.
A man being taken into custody by Russian police. They say he's behind a car bombing on Saturday that injured prominent pro-Kremlin novelist Zakhar Prilepin and killed his driver. Investigators say the suspect has admitted acting on behalf of Ukraine. It's the third explosion involving prominent pro-war figures since the start of the conflict. The regional governor says Prilepin, who's suffered fractures, has had surgery and is now under sedation to help his recovery. The author is an ardent supporter of Russia's military campaign in Ukraine. He often speaks out in support of the war on social media.
King Charles III and his wife, Queen Camilla, have been crowned at Westminster Abbey in London. In a ceremony packed full of music and symbolism, Charles was crowned in front of more than 2,000 national and international guests. Westminster has staged coronations for more than 9 centuries. Charles's religious ceremony followed a pattern unchanged for hundreds of years. After the coronation, the royal couple were driven back to Buckingham Palace in a golden carriage, and then the royal family appeared on the balcony. Earlier, the Archbishop of Canterbury and the congregation pledged allegiance to the King.
Our latest mass shooting took place at a suburban Dallas outlet mall. 9 people were killed. That includes the shooter. 7 others being treated at local hospitals tonight. Police didn't provide details about the victims, but witnesses reported seeing children among them. The shooting occurred around 3:30 local time at the Premium Outlets in Allen, Texas. Hundreds of shoppers were seen fleeing in a panic. Others forced to hide in the back of stores. Bullet holes riddled cars in the parking lot as well as some storefronts. One police officer who heard the gunshots confronted the shooter, taking him down. Police are now asking witnesses to come forward, trying to piece together the shooter's motive.
Israel has released the Jordanian parliament member, which was arrested recently on charges of smuggling weapons. He was arrested in the border crossing in the Allenby Bridge with various rifles and guns, which reportedly were meant to be smuggled to terror organizations in the West Bank. Since the arrest, there was heavy pressure from Jordan to facilitate his release, which already took place. Reports in Israel suggest the agreement between the two countries was achieved after Jordan promised to prosecute the member of parliament on home soil once he is released.
Japan's diplomatic visit aims to put its ties with South Korea back on track, but in Seoul it remains hotly contested. Crowds hold up banners and candles, protesting against Fumio Kishida's visit and their country's alliance with Japan and the United States. Japan's Prime Minister is keen to strengthen relations with South Korea, but his trip is overshadowed by historical disputes. Between 1910 and 1945, present-day South Korea was under Tokyo's colonial rule, with over 780,000 South Koreans mobilized for forced labor or as sex slaves for the military. Japan's war crimes left the Koreans with a bitter aftertaste, hindering relations between Seoul and Tokyo.
People grieved for lost loved ones after powerful floods and landslides tore through the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dozens of people died after the heavy rain destroyed buildings and forced aid workers to gather mud-clad corpses into piles. Red Cross workers in blue scrubs placed bodies on top of each other, and families of victims watched in desperation as rescue operations took place. The floods add to an ongoing humanitarian crisis in the eastern DRC due to decades of violence from multiple armed groups. The country has been plagued by fighting by at least 122 rebel groups for more than 25 years,